Hello, everyone. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. I'll say to Open Innovator, right? When we built this platform, we did it with one goal, I would say, and that goal was to, kill the noise. And we were actually, tired of PowerPoint versions of the future that's polished, that's expensive and completely detached from the world that we never actually reaches the person using the tech. You all would agree, right? So the whole platform Open Innovator is our space to get under the hood and find the signal in the static. I'll repeat, find the signal in the static and talk to the people who are actually getting their hands dirty, right? And I am Naman Kothari. And for me, Open Innovator is a personal mission to get under the hood, find the signal in the static, and talk to the people who are actually, as I said, getting their hands dirty. And if you ask me, we aren't here for the headlines, we are here for the blueprints. And today we are hitting a massive divide that is going to define the next decade of our careers, our companies, and frankly, our lives. So, before we start, just think about it like this. Right now, there is a giant brain that is being built in the cloud. Yes, you heard it right. Giant, a big brain built in the cloud. We are watching billions of dollars, massive server farms, and incredible compute power being poured into centralized AI models. I keep reading about all these reports by Gartner, by EY. We call that the servers, the centralized AI models. It's shiny, yes. It's loud, of course, and it's where all the venture capital seems to be vanishing. And just last week, I was, grabbing a coffee with a founder in Delhi last week, right? And the guy was practically vibrating with excitement, right? He had spent 6 months and a small fortune integrating the massive core model into his company. And when I asked him that how it actually moving the needle for the business, right? He looked at me dead serious and started cycling through every superlative in the Oxford dictionary. He told me, Naman, it's incredible. That AI is incredible. It's revolutionary, it's mind blowing. It's world shaking miracle of engineering. It's absolutely magic. I said, great. What does it actually do, my friend? He leaned in, whispered like he was giving me a state secret. He told me, it now takes 3 seconds to generate a birthday poem for my HR manager, and before it took five, right? And this is a trap of the core. We are building these digital cathedrals, but we are actually using them to lay bricks on the ground. And because then there's the edge. And when you say edge, that is a real world. That's a classroom in Boston where a teacher is trying to personalize a lesson for 30 different kids. It's an electronic, Carolina, you would agree, it's an electronic music studio in Medellin where a producer is searching for a sound that's never been heard before, thanks to AI. It's a startup floor in Dubai, or let's say startup floor in Delhi, where a founder is trying to turn a raw code or a raw data into actual operational leverage to stay alive. So the stakes are high. The questions we are asking today is, where is the value actually compounding? Is the real wealth staying locked in the big brain at the center, controlled by a handful of giants, or is it quietly building up the edge, where humans are actually using these tools to solve messy real world problems, right? To help us. And right now in 2026, we have moved past the magic of AI. Of course, we have talked a lot about AI, all about it. Every day you hear a lot about AI, right? Now we are in the utility phase. Yes, utility phase. We need to know if the value is in the infrastructure or is in the application, and more importantly, who actually is going to own the future of intelligence, right? So to help us navigate, or without further ado, we have brought together a trio, as you can see on the screen, a trio of architects who are actually already living in the year 2030, I would say. They are futuristics. They are living what we'll discuss right now. We have Greg with us. Greg, a veteran edtech, right, leader who has to make tech work in the high stakes. He is joining us from US, of course, and I would say he's a voice of the front line. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you. It's not wonderful having me here. Thank you.
We thank you, Greg. We also have Carolina, very dear friend. We were together at the India AI Summit in Delhi recently, and in between the sessions and the incredible food, we kept circling back to the same mystery: what's in the soul of the machine? She's a TEDx speaker, a music producer, and a VC. Right. Welcome, Carolina.
Thank you, guys. I really like what you guys do. I'm excited to have this conversation with Jordan and Gregory.
Perfect. We also have Jordan. Jordan is a venture veteran who has scaled companies from Silicon Valley to the MENA region, Dubai. Jordan has seen thousands, and he knows exactly where AI is a real business that moves, from the idea to actual production stage. And I would say, without further ado, once again, welcome to all our guests today. Let's get into the deep end. I've prepared a lot of questions with you, right? And we'll start with Greg. Greg, I want to start with you. You have spent years watching tech cycles attempt to disrupt the classroom, right? And
yes,
Greg, we are being told that these massive billion-dollar AI cores, as I say it, AI cores, are the silver bullets for education. But I have to ask you, from your seat, from where you see, does the actual value stay with the big AI models in the cloud, or does it start compounding when it shrinks down to the edge, becoming a tool that actually helps teachers and students master a concept? What do you think? Your take on it, Jeff?
I would say it's on the edge right now. It's shrunken down where the teacher is trying to figure out, how do I get the massive amount of work I have to get done in a regular school day done, and AI is becoming that assistant in the classroom to help them do that, helping them generate lesson plans much quicker, and helping them come up with ideas and aligning to the standards and curriculum they're being asked to teach. And it's individualizing that instruction when they can get to that point with the student. But trying to wrap their heads around all that first is the job of us administration, to help develop some sort of guidelines and say, we don't want to make it too difficult, but how do we make sure that we keep you and the students' data safe and secure? And how do we make sure that learning is occurring? And it may require changing the way that they teach. So that is the part that's going to be really hard for them to adjust to, is that very quickly they're realizing they cannot teach the way they used to anymore. They have to adjust, and AI can help them do that if they're just aware of how to do it best. So.
Well, that's quite an interesting take. I would say, if the value only activates when it touches the students, that's very special. Then the core, I would say the core part is just the potential energy. By the way, we perceive that energy is often skewed by the noise, right? So Carolina, I would like to bring you in. This is your world, right? Everyone's talking about where AI value will be created, right? But I want to flip that for you. Where do you think we are actually overestimating the value in AI? And where is the value quietly compounding in ways that most people and most investors like you are completely missing?
Well, I always think about making questions. Like, I was in on the news not long ago saying, like, these autonomous cars in San Francisco are operated by guys in Vietnam or wherever. I was like, why this is on the news? Why? Is people fully expecting that we are fully automated? I feel people are mistaking fluency for wisdom, speed for quality, optimization for real innovation. And that means that we are seeing a bunch of magic demos and things that are not trustable or durable. Look at the case of Sora. I never imagined they would kill Sora, and that happens yesterday. So right. I feel the future is not for the most loudest companies is the ones that build the trust, the utility, and some behavioral relevance. I still feel it's very important to have the human in the loop, and that not everything is automatizable. I don't know how do you say, like yesterday I saw some kind of ad on Instagram. If you come to this shop, you can pay with the app. Just download the app, get the QR code, download this thing, and I'm like, why I just don't pay with cash or my debit card if they are asking me to download an app and have like an entire UX experience situation. So yeah, I feel humans should be more focused on building systems that we can trust.
Well, I think we are looking at the explosion, but missing the slow burn. So I'd like to bring Jordan into the discussion now. Jordan, you are the one who has to decide which of these burns is worth $1 million check, right? So let me ask you, as you scale companies across completely different economies, you talk about US, you talk about Dubai, right? Completely different economies. The math, I would say the math has to work, right? So we see the hype around core infrastructure, but in the trenches of a growing startup, right? So let me ask you, is the long-term compound interest found in owning the AI engine, or is it in the proprietary way a company applies that engine at the edge to solve a boring and expensive problem?
It is the latter. It's the latter for sure. We specialize in enterprise class products and services, and therefore my focus is always on AI solutions for the enterprise. I'm keenly interested in AI implementations that takes existing enterprise systems, solutions, processes, and literally levels them up to be AI enabled and empowered. There's three fundamental things we look for in today's world. Does this AI leveling up, does it help address and meet regulatory and compliance issues? That's one. Is this part of the core value proposition of the business? And the third one is, and sadly, but it's a fact, how much of the labor is going to displace and replace? It's neither core nor edge. It's a solution that harnesses the power of both, allowing the business to more or less displace or replace redundancies, improve low-level service, and move forward. However, the next level up is with the power of AI and the harnessing of information and, are you able to extract more of what you have in your business, more of the resources, more of the assets, more of the data, and expand your reach or concentrate your focus to create more value for your shareholders? I know I sound like a stockbroker, but at the end of the day, the sticking power of AI is going to come from the core of the enterprise, not from Kara said, come over and use my app to do blah, 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 or my car is self-automated. That's all just noise. 90% of the value the industry brings is through the small, medium, and the global enterprises, and everything else is just tangential. So it's both, Naman, it's really an evolution, like you said, not for the next 10 years, for the next 50 years.
Well, there you have it. You need to identify noise versus actual signal. Thank you, Jordan, for highlighting that particular important point. And we'll come to it again later in the second round. And we'll now change the pace and we'll get into more and deep dive into more personalized questions. So Carolina, you operate, we have gone through a profile. We know you well. You operate at the intersection of AI, art, and capital that most people think as I would say separate galaxies, right? So from where you stand right now, how is AI already shaping human behavior, if I have to ask you, and also at the same time, how is AI shaping the culture in ways that we are not very fully conscious of yet? What's your take on it?
So I am an electronic music producer and my hobby is the venture capital. I got into the venture capital because I organized a Startup World Cup and I had access to many startups. And then I also had access to the mentors, and then I put the brain of the mentors in the AI. And then a meeting to my mentors of my investors that could be 1 hour with the startup. I just have an evaluation of the startup in 30 seconds. So life put me to do it. It optimizes my boss's meetings. He doesn't need to meet with 10 startups per day because I can give an assessment in 30 seconds of 100. So I'm saving time on him, but we still need some kind of human due diligence to understand if the founder is worthwhile of investing. So is this founder going to Hawaii and party next weekend? The AI assessment doesn't give me that, right? So that is in the venture capital side. And in the cultural side, I feel like everybody's optimizing their images, everybody's optimizing their press releases, everybody's optimizing their LinkedIns, their profile pictures without even being that person the AI is suggesting they are. I feel we are losing the effort. We are losing the authorship. All the copyright situation is tricky. The intimacy, attention, and self-worth. We are getting super, how do you say, like accustomed to immediacy, synthetic companionship, machine validation, polished outputs that trying to get us where we don't even know we are. So the question for me is whether are we shaping the future with the AI influence consciously? Are we using AI to deepen human capacity or to erode it? Are we empowering human dignity or quietly training people to become more machine-like in the way the AI create, decide, and relate? So I'm a person that prompts 24/7, and I always get into the deeper questions. So I talk about the venture capital, now the culture, but I feel in marketing we are doomed. I feel we are already in years of being programmed of what we want to buy on the internet. And I feel that it shaped the shopping culture, and I feel there is some marketing tactics that are not that ethical that are implemented and they happen. So yeah, that's me. That is my position on the three aspects.
Right, right. I in fact personally, would like to highlight the point that you made, a very important point, right? No matter how smart the AI algorithm or AI solution you build, human in the loop is something that cannot be missed. So yes, that is actually a very important point. So Jordan, we'd like to, come to you. You have been a COO multiple times over, right? So let me ask you, when AI enters the picture for a startup in particular, right? Where does it actually start creating, what do you say, operational leverage, and where does it just add layer of the shiny complexity that founder, consistently underestimate? Your take,
Thank
Jordan.
you. Thank you. If you look at a startup and its fundamental elements, there's the product, the team, the GTM, and a few other elements, but there's your back office, the finance, the legal, and. The first point of optimization is the back office. That's very simple. Reducing your cost and improving time to answers, time to resolutions in the legal department, in the finance, in the projections, in the market research. All of this can be harnessed rapidly. The more important one is in the product development. If you're on the software side, it's clear and everybody knows that the value proposition of a developer has diminished greatly. The time to release the first, second, and third release of your software has become a much sooner, faster, quicker, at a much lower cost. So now, the early days, a significant portion of your budget is spent on the product development. Now, significant portion of your budget is spent on product market proof and go to market, because the early stages of the software can be done rapidly and quickly. The other piece is, and to be candid, the prediction of Sam Walton that most startups will be one founder and a bunch of AI, that's becoming reality. The need to have multiple experts and domain experts in the business has become a lot less important in the first 2 years of the startup, because now you can get that knowledge quickly, rapidly, and efficiently. The third piece, which is most important, is you no longer are building a product from scratch. You can maximize your innovation by taking this immense power and knowledge locked into the AI world and build upon it with the clear understanding that you have to evolve multiple times because the thing will catch up with you. So when I'm looking at a startup in seed or pre-seed, I'm also always asking myself, where is your initial budget going? Where are your allocation? And if there's a significant amount of time on the software development, I'm always cautious. If there's more than expected on the back office, I'm very, very cautious. And if there's little engagement with AI as an enabler, as a tool, I am going to do a red flag. Sadly, there's 8 billion people in the world, and a lot of them have access to the same power that every founder has. So the competitive edge of you being in an advanced part of the world is diminished tremendously. A lot of the folks in different parts of the world have access to the same information that anybody has. Silicon Valley, New York, the UK, anywhere. So now, as a founder, you really have to be extremely competitive and know you no longer enjoy access to information that somebody in India, in Singapore, in Jordan, in Saudi Arabia, blah, blah, blah has. That's overwhelming for a founder. But that's going to create a next level talent for founders and startups, especially on the operations side.
Well, we could not agree more. Complexity, I would say, is truly the enemy of scale. Well, nicely summed it up. And I would say in education, right, complexity can be the enemy of equity. So Greg, let's bring it back to the system. You have led transformation where decisions have 10-year ripple effect, right? And when it comes to AI, how do you decide what belongs in the core infrastructure for stability versus what should stay at the edge for raw and messy experimentation? Greg.
So yeah, I've already written a little bit about this in the chat, is that the use of AI to help lessen the workload of the teacher is part of the core, right? And I think we're going to see that with all AI, is how do we get rid of the busy work that people have to do? I mean, you look at that in coding. I was talking to people over at Google the other day who told me 30% of their coding is now done by AI. You can get rid of a lot of that busy work. And the key is to take that time that you gain back and do you put it towards the high order thinking and the higher discussions, right? I teach a CAGS level class for staff here in my district, and I talk about how the day and age of writing a book report is gone. You can't ask a kid anymore, go home and write a book report on the adventures of Huck Finn. AI will do it for them. And then they said, well, I'll know when the AI does it. I said, no, because watch when I learn how to prompt correctly, I can say, put in ELL deficiency, have it written as a seventh grader, make some spelling mistakes, put some grammar errors in there, put some slang, and by the time I'm done prompting it, you would never know. And even the companies themselves have said that nothing is good at determining whether or not the student has used AI. So the better thing is to acknowledge AI exists. How do we save that time of, are we really just trying to determine in this lesson, can the kid read? And if we can, then that's a different lesson. But if we're trying to discuss what the book is really about and the lessons to be learned from that, then acknowledge AI exists and tell the students, this half of the class, you go home and write the book report from the point of view of Huck Finn. And the other half, you go home and write the book report using AI from the point of view from Jim. And now let's come back together the next day and let's put away our technology. This is the appropriate use of technology has to come into play, right? And we've swung way too far. We rely on everything in the classroom be technology. And now we're getting pushback from saying, put all the devices away and let's not use technology in classrooms anymore. And that's the wrong answer too. It's in the middle, that appropriate use where we can say, all right, you went home and you used technology. Now let's talk about what did you learn from that? So tell me what your point of view was from your book report. And then you tell me your point of view. Why did these two people see the world in a different view? What time in our history was this written? Why were they seeing things? And now all of a sudden we're at high order discussion very quickly. And we're getting to the core of what that book was really about, as opposed to, we just trying to have them regurgitate what they read and see if they truly understood it. So I think that's where you're going to see in the core of learning is that AI is used at the appropriate times to help expedite and do away with some of the busy work. whether it's for the teacher in the planning or the student for the learning. I think you're going to see that happen as part of that core of learning. And when the student needs that individualized instruction, I love Sophia Education, AI product that's come out that not much technology is involved, but it's AI right there with a speaker listening. So the speaker listens to the students talking. It's another person in the classroom that's going to give feedback to the teacher after. When I broke them up into small groups, how engaged were they? Who was talking? Who wasn't? And gives that feedback where I can't be everywhere in the room at once. It ends up being another person that can help them, says they're circulating around the room to get some of that feedback they miss when they walk away. So.
No,
Greg and Naman, if I could add to this, Greg, you're spot on. I come from old school where we had to memorize chapters to pass a test. And then we were allowed to use calculators to skip looking at tables and everything. And my parents were thinking, oh my God, your mind is going to be mush. You're not learning anything, you know? This is the next iteration of much of the learning in the last 10 years. I'm going to say this, hopefully they don't kill me, is no longer needed. It's how you process the information, what you do with it. That's on one
side. We had
this
discussion this morning, Jordan. I said, I don't remember last time I ever used a Pythagorean theorem, but someone made me learn that, right? And I know it drives me crazy when they say your child needs to go home and buy a calculator, which 15 years ago, calculator was going to be the end of math. And now my child walks around with a $1,000 calculator in their pocket. And you don't even let them use that because you just don't get the power of the technology in your hands. How do you harness it and use it appropriately? Yeah.
Now, the education purpose, and I'll be brief, it also extends into the business world. Now, we have people in the business world that no longer need to do extensive type of work to come to a conclusion or pull tremendous amount of information the old-fashioned way to provide you with a report and analysis, especially in my VC work. We have extended our reach to pull so much more in the span of minutes to assess a company and everything around it, as opposed to hours. And to be candid with you, we didn't do half the work. It's just too much damn work. So what Greg is saying is extending itself beyond the classroom. It's to the business. It's to all sorts of things. Some people are still pushing back. So, hey, this is AI generated. I'm like, so? It's good. It still works. Why do I have to do it the old-fashioned way and chisel it on stone tablets? So it's really changing the world as we know it substantially.
And I think Jordan, you raised a very important point. With that, I would like to stay with you for a second. You have seen both the side, Jordan, the building and the backing, right? Let me ask you, building on the point that you mentioned, when you look at the AI-driven startups today, right? What's the specific pattern that you notice early that tells you, right, this team understands where the real value lies versus, oh, they are just putting an AI wrapper on a broken business. So I'm sure you have seen both sides of the coin, right? Your take on Jordan.
We didn't invest in any AI in the first 18 to 20 months of the AI change. We felt, like many others, it's going too fast, and everything you said, the wrappers, the LLMs are moving, there's going to be consolidation, what have you. And that's what drove us back to the core of the enterprise. Does this solution, AI enablement, is it an AI solution or is it an enablement through AI? And I promise you, and I'm fairly confident in the next 6 to 12 months, this AI thing is going to be around. It's just another system. We need the AI just like we need the CRM, like we need the ERP, like we need the whatever. It's no longer an edge. It's a foundational component. That's what we look for in all of our investments and so forth. However, it's kind of fun and sexy to look at the crazy stuff and see where maybe in 2 or 3 years, it's going to be absorbed in. But from a business fundamentals, we're always going back to the core: compliance, revenue, and labor.
Well, certainly compliance and labor. And also, it's a difference, and that's the difference between a toy and a tool. And speaking of evaluating the startups, we have someone who have actually built the tools to measure this, right? Carolina, you have built tools, that analyze how founders think and present their startups, right? And let me ask you, if AI AI is now influencing both our decision making and our storytelling. So do you think, Carolina, that we are moving towards more clarity, or are we just entering an era of optimized narratives, that look perfect on the surface, but actually lack any real depth?
Yeah, I think that is happening, but I think it's happening long ago before the AI times. I feel a founder can lie in a pitch deck and now, and it could like 10 years ago, and then the investor will do diligence and understand that it happened to me 2 years ago. One of the winners of one of my startup competitions put in the pitch deck that he had an MOU with a big company for $30 million to a week after we understanding that was a lie. So that is not AI optimized or AI related. It's just the founder honesty, right? So I built that AI agent because in every competition I organize, I never pick the winner. So we took a couple of 100 questions that an investor does in order to understand if the startup is going to succeed. I put in the AI a couple of books. My CTO also did some kind of scoring, and the person, one of my bosses, my mentors, is very happy with the assessment. Like, he gets all these type of agents every day, and he likes how we deliver the results, until that he decided to sponsor in building the agent. And it kind of took my life. Now I swear over the Bible that I will never develop software again. And now I'm jumping into the AI. And as Jordan said, like, I feel an agent is very easy to build, but go to market, marketing strategy, all those things are the ones that are really important. So on the storytelling in the AI, yeah, everything is being super polished, super automatized, but sometimes at the end that is not the best for both worlds, the founder or the VC.
Right. Thank you for that, Carolina. So Greg, let's end this round on the ground with you. So, you work in urban education environment where budgets and equity aren't the buzzwords, right? And they are daily constraints. So how do those real world realities change the conversation around AI value compared to the unlimited resource fantasies that we hear in the tech or venture circles?
Well, the reality is the districts are struggling now to figure out how to. In my district, I'm 80% students on free and reduced lunch, and they can't afford to pay for a device, so we pay for that device. We fix that device, and we couldn't afford prior to COVID to put a device in every student's hand, and now post-COVID, all the money's gone away, and we're trying to figure out how do we continue to put a device in every student's hand, and forget about the software and the expense involved with that. It is bringing us to a point of having to make some really tough decisions, and sometimes you have to question those decisions. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to where the school district's removing the tech director, and I'm like, that's the future and the guidance of where you're going, and you're going to remove that position. And they're doing it because the people running the districts did not grow up with technology. A lot of these people were educators who were kept away from technologies we talked about, Joe and I, a few minutes ago. That, that's going to ruin learning if you have that in your hands. And now they've become the leaders, and they don't understand the value of technology, and they don't see the need to invest in it and bringing the future forward. So it's really going to be interesting, is that it's going to widen that digital divide. So you're going to have those districts that have the money and they have the foresight, who are going to put more towards preparing their students for the future, and the kids who are struggling to even have internet at home or having a device are going to have none of that, and no leadership or guidance when it comes to in the district as well. So AI is just making that even more difficult, because the cost of that software is making it harder for us to compete with the ones who can afford it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Well, that's a very strong take, Greg, and happy with that answer. Also, with this, I would say we have come to a close of round two, right? And then we've been very serious, right? Let's lighten up the mood now, and it's time to lighten up the mood. We call this segment the prompt segment, right? And in this segment, I'll give you three rapid fire prompts. You have 20 seconds for each, right? We'll start with Greg, right? Let me ask you, Greg, 10 years from now, will a student's best teacher be a human or an AI? Quickly, Greg.
The human in the middle is so important, and you're never going to be able to remove that in education. But the AI is an assistant to the teacher or the student. I have a vision of college students in an app that I could build that would help make their lives easier and be more successful. So, yeah.
Well, that's actually a very smart answer. Human in the loop with AI as an assistant. Well, that 10 out of 10 for that answer. More important, right? Let me ask you, Greg, what is more important, a laptop for every kid or a personal AI tutor for every kid?
Well, I don't know how you have that AI tutor without the laptop to do it right now, right? So they have to have some sort of device. So access to the device. And I'm hearing more and more discussion about, well, maybe we cut down the amount of devices we give students. We move away from one-to-one. And I've had that discussion of what happens when a teacher needs it, though, and it's not there. They're going to stop using technology, which will just widen that digital divide. So I think it's important that they still have access to that device. You don't have to have it out all the time, but access to it's going to be very important.
Well, all right. Last one. What is harder to fix? Is it a broken school budget or a teacher who hates tech?
I can get any teacher to come around to tech. It's this broken school budget is the hardest to fix because there's a lot more players involved in giving up some of your money is always difficult to get people to be willing to give more money for something, especially if their students and their children no longer students in that district or they don't have any children. Why would I be needing to give money to this? And helping them see the value of how that improves their community is the hard thing to do.
Well, all smart answers, Greg. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to Carolina. Carolina, quickly, right? First one, which is more creative, right? Is it a human on their worst day, or AI on its best day?
Sorry, your question was super cut by the internet. I could not hear it completely.
Is it so? Which would you give more numbers? Which is more creative? Is it a human on their worst day or an AI on its best day?
Oh, a human, an AI is not creative.
Okay, that's an interesting take. All right. Second one, should an AI generated song be allowed to win a Grammy since you belong from the song fraternity?
No, but also the Grammys, if they are banning the music made with AI, they should ban the singers using auto-tune because auto-tune is AI. So every singer that uses auto-tune to fix their voices in their songs should be taken down of the Grammys.
Right. AI can assist. All right. And lastly, on a lighter note, the best food you had in Delhi. I bet it was the butter chicken.
I love the chutney, man, like the South Indian food. And I got the first thing, went to Amazon, got chutney, went to the supermarket, the chicken masala, all of the things. But the chutney, my number one.
So chicken masala is a clear winner here. All right, moving on to Jordan. Jordan, first question for you. Scale fast and break things. I repeat, scale fast and break things, or scale slow and let AI fix them.
Scale fast and let AI fix broken things.
All right. Point
I
noted.
love that answer.
Point noted. All right. Second one coming up for you. A startup red flag that sounds like an AI buzzword. What would you say?
Can you repeat the question, please?
A red flag for a startup that actually sound like an AI buzzword.
It sounds like an AI what, sir?
What fancy word, that an AI fancy word, which is actually a red flag for a startup?
Not really. We have to sell what the market is looking for. Remember the old days where apps and so it's not a red flag. It's kind of a little cheesy, but you've got to look below the surface, and we do that constantly. Again, people think AI sells, but if they have a great idea and they have that, it's fine. Bring it in.
All right, bring it in. There you have it. All right, last one. Would you let an AI negotiate your next VC deal for you, Jordan?
100%. We are using AI to screen all of our deals. We're generating investment memos. We're doing significant amount of work. Doesn't mean it will sign the check, God forbid, because then I'll be without a job, and that is going to happen. I promise you, that is already happening. But I'm looking forward to the day where my AI agent will call her AI agent and discuss something, and then let me know what is the outcome. And then my third AI agent will let me know what to do, and my fourth AI agent will sign it for me, and I'll just get the check in the mail.
You'll be one of those
Oh,
guys in the Disney movie sitting on a sofa the whole day with nothing else to do. So there you go.
Well, yeah, absolutely, Greg. But to be candid with you, why not?
Right.
Our capacity to look at all the elements are limited by how much sleep we had and whether I'm hungry or not and whether I had a good drive to work. So AI will do this. I do want to add something to Greg's comment. Greg, remember the days where the Hondas were automatic and full power and everything, but the other cars were stick shift and you had to pay more? I would love to see. I came from a third world country, the country of Jordan. I'm actually in Jordan today. I'm literally in Jordan.
Oh,
And we're 45 students per class, one teacher. I look forward to the day where we have AI enablement or even AI robots offering the same level of quality of education to the millions and millions and millions of students. Because you know and I know, not all teachers are born the same, but different conversation, different webinar.
I'd love to talk with you about Jordan. I've said all along that I see a few really good teachers who are dynamic. Until AI can have that personality, you're going to have really good teachers teaching hundreds of students, and they're going to have robots or AI doing all the busy work of grading and calling the parent and all that other stuff so that they can just do what they do best is teach, and then they can give them more people to do that with and pay them the fair wage that they often say they deserve. So, but you won't have that fair wage going to everybody.
Yeah, let's deploy AI everywhere, and for a few dollars more, you get a real person. What do you think about that?
Just few dollars.
Jordan, we could have some great talks, I can tell you. Yeah.
I think if it's just few dollars, I think no harm in, going with the human, but I believe there will be a big difference, right? And to be honest, I love the honesty in the answers, right? And it turns out even the experts, as you see, are divided on where the machine take over and where the human stands their ground, right? And I think we are in the final lap now. But before that, I would like to take some audience questions, and these are open for all, right? We have a question from Ethan, and he's asking what's a small or unexpected AI use case that's quietly creating an outsized impact. Anyone can take it up. Any impactful AI use case that you would like to talk about right now? Jordan.
Unfortunately, but fortunately, the state of the world is AI is helping navigate drones and build defense systems that wasn't necessarily top of mind, but just literally in the world we live in, is going to allow things to happen in a certain fashion. That wasn't something I've ever thought it would happen, but in today's world, that is, and they are building AI drone soldiers as we speak. I'd rather the drones to die than humans do.
We just have to be very careful, I think, when it comes to that technology of building in the kill switch. So if this technology, you have so many people that are afraid of, well, if robots start to take over, like in Terminator, well, we have to just make sure when we build these robots, we have a kill switch that we can turn them off. And we have to make sure that we've done that in a way that they can't deny the kill switch. But yes.
The kill switch. So, in fact, on the same lines, there's another question from a gentleman called Peter. He's asking, where do your perspective disagree most when it comes to real AI value, when it comes to where the real AI value lies? So where do your perspective disagree most when it comes to where real AI value lies? Carolina, Greg, or Jordan, anyone can take this up.
I think that there is a lot of things automatized that doesn't need to be automatized. I just feel there is lots of agents and more agents, and then when you look at the demos, it's like, well, I don't need an agent for this, right? I built an agent, and I'm like the agent hater. I don't know. I like to think about AI in more deep implementation that just automatize a job. I also feel a little bit overwhelmed with all the tools every day, all the time, doing the same doing like so almost in the Gen AI world. I was seriously shocked with the Sora news. So yeah, that is my answer.
I want
Right,
to add
right,
to
right.
this, if I may, two things. One is
Please.
95% of all enterprise AI efforts has not paid the proper ROI. This is as of December 2025. That's fine. That's kind of expected because there's everybody jumping on the AI bandwagon. Again, the real value has to come from enabling the core business, not just the fancy schmancy stuff. And Caroline, I have a prediction. The AI agents will be like the apps. Remember when you had an app for everything? And then poof, gone. Same thing. Their day will come.
I feel that someone is gonna build a super intelligence that is gonna just jump all the data from all those foundation models, and like every startup of agent is gonna be just out of the business. Not mine though, not my agent.
Carol, I
Caroline,
agree.
those agents are helping build the small pieces of knowledge to create that. So we need them to build the blocks, and eventually it will just bubble into something better.
The
Sorry about the
problem is
interruption.
OpenAI and Anthropic should be paying us, the prompters that are doing the prompting for them to be the super intelligence in the future, right? It's the same I think about the artists with their art, and the Gen AI taking music and art from others and just doing a new thing, right?
Right, right,
Carolina,
right.
I agree with you and somewhat disagree with your comment earlier, Jordan, is that AI is never going to replace people, right? And you and I have kind of alluded to that, Caroline, is that at least when it comes to education and here in America, the unions are so strong and the pushback will come that they will not allow the educator to be replaced by AI. There'll be an assistant and a supplement in the classroom, but the need to have that creativity and learning, right, and that excitement and engagement that this happens by conversation that happens between two people that doesn't happen between technology just yet, is going to really slow the process of AI really taking over. So I think we just have to figure out the middle, right? It's that pendulum I was talking about earlier, is how do we get everybody back to the middle of what is the appropriate use of technology in our daily lives, and not too much of it, but how does it create that environment, Jordan, where we can sit back and relax and still have those conversations, and the important part of the meat of being alive, but the busy work being done by the agent around us. So
I have one other thing like to tell Jordan. My TEDx, the world's first artificial intelligence awareness experiment called Love My Robot, the actually icon is a drone, and it's that drone weapon that you mentioned now. Like I thought about that 5 years ago, and I said, okay, this will be one of the AI elements that will be more dangerous for society, not only for war, for surveillance, for lots of things. And I decided that drone to be the icon. Then I built some puffy toys and give it to people of the icon, telling them, okay, this is your reality. It's not what you see in the screen. But the icon in the future, it means something bad made by humans. It's a drone that is killing people or sending weapons or whatever surveillance they are doing.
Setting aside the drones and killing people, Noman, how about you create another session for mano to mano, Grego versus Giordano on AI versus no I, and have go at it? What do you say?
Well, I said that's a great thought and a great point. I mean, point well noted. And I think a segment 2 or a session 2 of this edition will shortly plan. And I think we are in the final lap, Jordan. And thanks for that, that advice. I want to leave our audience with a North Star now, right? And I already see audience engaging with some of the questions in the chat box. But let me ask you all on the screen right now, if someone in the room in this room had to make one high stake decision about AI in the next 90 days, right? It could be whether they are building a product, investing their capital, or shaping a curriculum. Greg, what is one thing you would urge them to, to get it right? Just one thing to get it right, right? Jordan, we'll start with you. Give us the builder's mandate. Jordan.
Um, I'm not sure I understood the question, but I'll go at from what I understand it. I love nothing more than deploying AI to address global health care needs from the core level all the way up until a human needs to be there. All of us have experienced this either personally or through people we love and so forth. Whether it's you're in the US or India or Jordan or Spain, whatever, that's a necessary human need. If we can get that right and continue to get it right, I think the world will be a much improved place.
The world will be in much improved place. That's the main point, right? Carolina, give us the visionaries mandate. That what do you think in the next 90 days? What's one thing you would urge the people to to get it right playing with AI?
Well, I've been trying, but I try in the blockchain, and the blockchain is not fully invented. So I want to design a new ecosystem for the music industry where all the traceability of all the royalties can be just transparent. I feel just the music industry, how it is too corrupt. It is difficult, very difficult to fix. So I just feel the AI should be implemented into a new music distribution, music booking, payments, all of the things, because it's a monopoly and it's just a few people are getting super rich. There is a lot of talent in the world not seeing a cent from their music. So I feel that is needed.
Right. Greg, give us the educator's mandate.
Well, I actually have an app I've started to develop. I need someone like Jordan to help me fund it, but it's one for students in the college level, right? That will actually lessen the burden of life, right? And it's one that takes that, it gives the university the idea of seeing in the background where the student is struggling and where they're succeeding, but helping the student at the same time to be successful. So, Jordan, I'd love to talk to you offline about this app, but it's one that's an AI assistant for the student when they walk in from day one, and it helps lessen the dropout rate and helps the success of the student because it brings the university into what they're doing in their college life and has an insight to say they're being successful here, but they're struggling in this way. And let's sit down and talk with them and let's help them before it gets to the point that they're shutting down because of the struggles of life and the weight involved with it. So I think that's where AI is really going to be a really good tool for us, is to help everybody's. I mean, this day and age, we're all struggling when it comes to something, right? And we all have our own waves and our own ocean that we're riding. And how do we identify that with the person and help them through the storm together? So yeah, I think that AI will help us in that process. So
there you have it. We all have our own waves and own oceans to ride in. Well, nicely put by Greg, right? And I would say, we have done a lot of sessions, and I would say this has been truly a masterclass in seeing past the noise. And thank you so much to all our speakers and attendees, right? What we have learned today is that, while the core might have the power, the edge has the soul. And value, like, some of our speakers said, value doesn't just compound in the server farm. It compounds when, Carolina uses it to rethink culture, or Jordan uses it to, scale a vision. And when Greg, like he said, uses it to give a student a better shot at the future. So we started, Open Innovator to find the truth behind the tech. And the truth we found today is the most valuable AI is the one that stays out of the way and let the human be more human, right? So to all our audience and navigators, thank you for the insight. To our audience, don't just watch the core. In fact, go and build something at the edge. Stay sharp, stay patient. Once again, thank you so much, Carolina, Greg, Jordan. This session is now concluded. We'll see you again shortly. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.